So today's video is all about tips to unlock the blue dot faster. And I did a video explaining the various reticles and, you know, what the differences are, how they look in game, which I'll go ahead and link that down in the description. So if you're interested in seeing what it looks like on all the reflex sites or the holographics, you'll be able to check it out. You could just skip to wherever you want in the video. But one of the main things I wanted to bring this up is because a lot of people are making the optimization, min-maxing their class setups with optics with a specific reticle now. It's getting to that point. That's how far skill-based matchmaking is pushing that top limit in competitiveness. It's like, which reticle? Oh man, I would have been able to see the guy a little bit more clearly if I wasn't running this one versus the blue dot. And that's where it really comes in, is how to unlock the blue dot as fast as possible, because it's getting kind of ridiculous that the meta is getting to this point. And I've seen a lot of bigger streamers switching over to the Corp Combat HOLO site because maybe one guy went off in a kill tournament and they're like, man, that looked like that weapon just is clean, and the blue dot is the attractive part of it. Obviously we got the Corp Combat, we do have the Apex HOLO, but this one is round and a little bit less, you know, visual. And then we have the other one, which is the PBX HOLO. So there's pretty much three optics people use in Warzone on their regular rifles. We have the VOK, which is the number one, that's the most popular. And people typically just stick with the default reticle. That's fine. But a lot of people are switching to optimize their class setup, to min-max it even that much more. They're switching to holographic sights. You still get a little bit of the optical zoom. I think it's at 1.5 instead of 3, and not 1 like a reflex. So you get a little bit more optical zoom. But in addition to that, you can get an even cleaner reticle because the holographic as well as the reflex, they offer a blue dot sight, which is not available on the VLK. They get like the blue V or whatever, blue 5. I'll give you some straightforward tips so you can do it as fast as possible if you're looking to have the most min-maxed build possible. I think it's getting a little bit ridiculous, but this is what happens with skill-based matchmaking. So you enjoy the video or learn something new, please do me a favor hitting that like button. Goal in today's video is 2,000 likes, and if you're brand new, want to find your way back for more Call of Duty content, just make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Let's go ahead and try and explain how to get these as fast as possible, and then we'll do kind of a comparison so you know exactly the difference is and why people are gravitating towards these holographic sights. So a quick look at the reticle challenges. You get the default one right away, and you can see it has the little red outline with the circle, little dashes that come off it, red dot in the middle, and a little bit of haze because that's supposed to be realistic, which I guess it is. And then you get the next one, green, and then you get this red one again, where it's a little bit different than the first one, but almost the same, a little different shade. This one's way bigger, blocks a little bit more area of the screen, smaller, similar to that one, and then it has a little V or a chevron, as it would be called, instead of a dot. And then we got this other red one with the dot, but the one that everyone's starting to gravitate towards is the blue dot. And it's kind of a grind to get to, but it's not as difficult or as challenging as you would think, especially when shipments in the game mode. You should be able to knock these challenges out rather quickly, and I'm going to show some gameplay in the background and kind of talk a little bit about that as well. So I've completed all the reticle challenges for the reflex, the holographics, as well as these VLK type optics, where they get the 3-time optical zoom. I have those ones all completely done, and I've started working on these hybrid sights, which are a little bit more annoying, but there are some benefits to using those over the others. So I'm just going to grind them out. So if, you know, maybe that seems to be the meta at some point, I'll have them ready to rock and roll, but to each their own. The main thing you're going to worry about here is how quick you can get these challenges done. And personally, if you're trying to unlock this challenge for any of these weapons, I think the best all-around class setup is to play on shipment with this one here. Especially if you have a trigger finger, you can be able to maximize it. If not, I'd probably go with the AMAX. I was averaging about 20 headshots with this particular class setup, and then you just swap the optics. So it takes you 2, maybe 3 matches to finish off the 50 headshots, and then you move on to the kills, which is just grinding out kills. Switch to headshots, kills, and you kind of just alternate and pick whatever optic you're supposed to, and that's the key. It is kind of a hassle, but by the time you've gone through all of them, it ends up working out. It's just really a matter of preference, but if you're looking to get the blue dot, it's definitely the way to go in terms of setting up your class setup. Pretty much what ends up happening is when you use the VLK, this is the optic that you get. You can see you get a little bit more zoom because this is a 3-times optic. When you move around, this is the dot you get, and that's pretty much how it works. If you end up going with the blue V, it kind of looks a little bit ugly, at least in my opinion, because there's too much fuzziness. If you look at the red dot, you can see there's not a lot of fuzz on it. As we're going to see when we switch to these holographic sights, how nasty they look before we get the blue dot. So that's why people are like leaning towards that just because it's so clean, and those optics allow for a little bit faster mobility for that little bit of extra frames or milliseconds that you need to aim down sight. So this is the standard Corp Combat holographic. You can see, even though you could see fairly clearly, the big issue here is all that fuzz around it. It's a little bit, you got the dot and then you got to worry about all the other stuff. Some people will enjoy that, but at the highest competitive level, most people are going to switch it up for something cleaner and neater. So if the red dot was available, people would 100% be switching this to a red dot, but obviously this one is available. Let's go ahead and see how the blue dot looks. So in comparison to how that optic looked, now we can see the red dot, easy to see. We got the blue dot there on the reflex, but yeah, here it is. Look at how much cleaner that looks. We don't got any blockage. If there's someone right there, I'm literally pointing the dot there. It works a lot in dark areas to distinguish. Very easy, nice and visible. Like I said, if there was a red dot available, people would be using that too. But this is the cleanest, by far the cleanest optic on the holographic sites. Now we'll go ahead and look at the PB Holo. Kind of pay attention to how big this square is as we switch. So now you can see it's more rectangular instead of square. Still all that bulky red part. Like I said, if it had a red dot, people would be going with a red dot. But the only one that offers and provides a dot is the blue dot. If I'm trying to look at somebody, trying to hit somebody on a head glitch, if I want to see exactly where my bullets are going, the blue dot is just going to be more optimal. So now we can see the blue dot. Very clear. Even when I look in the air, you still see it. Some people would still prefer red because of the contrast between the light colors and the blue. But definitely in game, this is 100% visible. You're seeing this wherever it is. You got the clear as day visibility of where that dot is. Lines up perfectly. Same size of this little white dot that's in the screen. Very easy, perfectly lined up. Versus that red one has a lot of issues. Obviously this video is a tip video on how to do it faster. I've already kind of explained that with the FAL. If you got a good trigger finger, because it does have that one-shot capability, it's going to be able to get those headshots as easy as possible. Like I said, I was able to get a 20 average in TDM. I was averaging about 35-40 kills in TDM, and 20 of those were headshots. So pretty straightforward. You get the one-shot kill, easy done there. But the bigger issue is that the game is even getting to this point where the competitive level, the skill-based matchmaking tuning is putting these players in the highest bracket possible, where they're competing against people who don't miss shots and are trying to find every millisecond and sliver and min-maxing their gun to the maximum ability to be just competitive and enjoy the game. Because if you don't do that, you're going to get outgunned by someone who ADS is 12 milliseconds faster, 1 frame faster, or whatever. And that's the problem. That's a huge problem with skill-based matchmaking. If you're not thinking about your loadouts that way, it's just because you're not at a high enough bracket where people are like, nope, this is the optic you got to use, because if you don't use that one, you're going to get outgunned. The VOK, it helps with recoil, so you have to use it on that gun or else you end up in a bad situation. That just is a little bit out of hand in my opinion. You could hear these guys when they're getting ready for their tournaments. Obviously they're competing for money, but everyone else they're competing against and going into lobbies is using the exact same stuff, so no wonder like they have to play that way, because skill-based matchmaking allows for that. Whereas I know that there's plenty of people that are below average, can just go into a lobby, pick up a random floor gun, and they could get a win because everyone in their lobby is below average. So that's the unfortunate part with skill-based matchmaking. I know a lot of times people ask, well, I got a 1.1 KD, how did I end up in a lobby with the 3 KD? Well, in case you guys didn't know, a 1.1 is well above average. The average KD in Call of Duty is probably 0.8 and lower. And that's kind of just people you won't run into. And those are the people that don't have to worry about which optic or reticle they're using. So again, this is pretty straightforward challenges. I would knock them out if you're trying to stay on top of the game. I know some people are preferring that Corp Combat Holo sight. Some are going with that PBX Holo sight. And then there's still people kind of sticking with that VOK. But that is the shift in the meta a little bit, where it's kind of like gotten to the point where you can't even choose a certain optic. These are the optics you should be using if you're trying to be as competitive as possible and actually get in a position where you're going to win, because everyone else is going to be min-maxing their builds as well, which is unfortunate that it's getting to that point. But with skill-based matchmaking, you got to play like money's on the line, because if you don't, you will lose. I know that kind of went off on a tangent. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please do me a favor hitting that like button. If you're brand new, want to find your way back for more Call of Duty content, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Do appreciate all the support on the channel. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.